Munetaka Murakami has been posted by the MPB, and the Mariners may be in the running for the slugging corner infielder. Joe and I are going to talk about that, what it might take to get him to Seattle, and if we think he'd be a good fit. We'll then give you guys our FanDuel favorites, and then we're going to talk about everybody's favorite topic over the past week and a half, Tarik Skubal. Joe and I haven't had a whole lot of time to flesh this out with you guys, so we're going to talk about our thoughts on the Skubal news and if the Mariners can get that done. Thank you guys so much for watching episode 247 of the Hit It Here podcast, part of the Bleav Network and presented by FanDuel. And this is the Gilbert family episode of the podcast. They just had a child, I believe, on the 7th. So congratulations to Logan and his family. That's very exciting. And I'm here with Joe. We are back from a little bit of a hiatus that we took. Joe, how are we feeling?
Refreshed, ready to attack the off season. We've, I think, gone through many stages of grief. Things haven't changed. And unfortunately for the Mariners and the Murakami sweepstakes, I don't anticipate a lot changing from where I think everyone already has the expectation kind of set in stone about he's going to be too expensive for the Mariners to sign. There's going to be other suitors that make more sense fit-wise and I guess just overall interest-wise. But it's a fun idea to talk about because, has the home run record in the NPB, took the world by storm during the WBC, a very fun and very interesting prospect player coming over to Major League Baseball, and he's a guy that has 50 homer potential. There's some qualms and concerns about his ability to hit velocity, but
0.95 last year versus pitches above 93 miles an hour.
I don't know if that was real. I don't know if
Really?
the person that tweeted that, I don't know if that was real.
Interesting. Okay.
I don't fully know. I think Jage posted in one of the group chats that is actually just above 200. Regardless, the struggles against velocity are noted, whether it's 0.95, I think his name is Joel Shiano. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or it's just general struggles, right? The big problems with strikeouts and whiffs kind of cropped up, and the big breakout season, we're about 18 months, 24 months removed from that. So what is it going to look like when Murakami gets to Major League Baseball, and how will he adjust in his first year? It's hard to say, but I really just think the money that he is going to get paid by some team is immediately going to kind of cast the Mariners away from this sweepstakes. Aside the fact that they have to pay a posting fee because that's how international free agents from the MPB work. What MLB Trade Rumors has predicted of 8 years, 180 million, the Mariners would never pay that to him. I don't think. There's too many concerns with the velocity. Sure, a lefty swing would fit very well in T-Mobile with the way and the amount of power and raw power that he's able to generate. I think the fit makes sense on MLB The Show. In actuality, I really don't see it as Bleacher Report has. The Mariners are the fourth, they're the fourth. I don't want to know if we want to call it the fourth highest landing spot, how they're determining that, but I don't really. I've got my eyes set on other things this offseason other than Murakami personally.
Yeah, I mean, the idea makes sense, right? He's a corner infielder. He played first base and third base in 2025 and also a little bit of the outfield for some reason. I don't know what that's all about. He hit 286, 392, 392, 659 with a 1.051 OPS. He struck out 71 times in 69 games. He strikes out quite a bit. I mean, in 2024, he struck out 180 times in 610. Whoa, 610 plate appearances. That's like a Eugenio Suarez level of strikeouts over the past couple of years. It's not great. And is that going to translate over to the MLB? Maybe. Now, throughout his career in the MPB, he's played 763 games at third base, 266 at first base. His fielding percentage at first is 994. His fielding percentage at third is 943.
He's a first
Like,
baseman. He's a first baseman.
yeah.
He's not going to play much third base once he makes his way over to Major League Baseball. I really don't think so. If I had to guess a split of, it also depends on where he goes. If a team needs him to play third, he can play third. It's not going to look good. This is very reminiscent to me of the Rafi Devers situation. If there's someone that is better equipped to play third base on the team that he ends up going to, he will play first base. If they have a better first baseman and a third baseman, he'll DH. It's very cut and dry to me what his first couple of years and how he adapts and whether or not he figures out a way to become a better fielder. And I mean, it's just overall just getting work in, but maybe he's more focused on the hitting side of things and he can develop into a quality defender at either corner potentially. It's not completely ruled out. It's just the reason why teams are interested in Murakami is not his position or his glove. It is the 50 homer potential, the thump in the middle of the lineup that he can provide. And of course, that does fit with what the Mariners probably need. It's just at the price point and other suitors. Again, I don't see it happening.
And the Mariners have an opening at DH. Like, they could just use him as a DH, but at the same time, if you sign him to like a relatively decent sized deal and he doesn't perform offensively, that's basically just a sunk cost. And I agree, that would be the largest contract the Mariners have ever signed for a free agent hitter. They're not going to do it on an unproven talent like Murakami.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not going to happen. So I think the idea is fine, but the money is going to be out of the Mariners' scope of possibility. This Bleacher Report puts the Mariners ahead of the Dodgers to sign him, which may make some sense seeing as how they picked up Max Muncy's option. So he's probably their third baseman next year. But nonetheless, there's still a situation where, in this Bleacher Report article, they list Seattle. The very first part of the article, I don't know how I feel about this, says Seattle has the largest Japanese American population of any city with a baseball team. They also have an incredible recruiting tool, serving as special assistant to the chairman in Hall of Famer Ichiro Suzuki. Okay.
It's just like
It's pandering a little bit, right?
And Bleacher Report is in a little bit of hot water with a post that they made about a Japanese Dodgers prospect, I believe, that signed from the KBO 2 years ago. Like, and there's no reason that they would have posted him if he wasn't Japanese. Is like people arguing that they're like race baiting, if that makes sense. So Bleacher Report, you said take it with a grain of salt. I mean, I don't know if like we the moment you said Bleacher Report when we were setting up for this, I was like, oh, good. Because notoriously just not quality reporting for however, I mean, probably longer than what I was about to say. I was going to say for the last 5 years, but it's probably been longer than that, truth be told.
Yeah. I kind of lost respect for Bleacher Report when we were in high school. So,
yeah.
Or maybe college. But nonetheless, the fit itself does make some sense because, again, he can play positions of need for the Mariners, and theoretically he could be a pretty heavy hitter in that lineup. And I mean, offensively, what more can you ask for a guy than he hit 39 home runs in 2021? He's a career 273 hitter with a 394 OBP. Like, you can't ask for a lot more than that. He's going to bat lefty for you. So that's something that kind of fits the ballpark a little bit. Some people may say, oh, then you're getting a little too left-handed, potentially, especially if you re-sign Josh Naylor. But I just think that Murakami should probably be like plan like F for the Mariners. And you only have 45 days to make that decision because in 45 days, he will be signing with the team before Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't think the Mariners are going to want to make that decision that quickly. He'll be 26 next year. So he's obviously still young and is entering his prime. But I just think the timing does not fit well with the Mariners and what to expect. I think the Mets make a lot of sense. I think the Red Sox make a lot of sense. I think, even the Yankees can make a lot of sense there. Like, there's plenty of teams that make a lot more sense that are probably going to be willing to spend the money more so than the Mariners.
Mm-hmm. And looking at like team fit going, I think the Yankees to me are the team that makes the most sense to me. And whether or not they're going to look back at what he did in the last couple years in the NPB, or like what he did on the national stage in the WBC, where he hit 231, 364 with a 462 slug over with an 826 OPS across 26 at-bats. Kind of got off to a slow start and then picked it up in the like actual playoff rounds, which was important, which helped Japan end up, subsequent like following to win the entire event. I'm sure teams are looking at that and seeing how he performed on like the biggest stage in that scenario and taking that into account of like he's going to go to a contender. There's no doubt about that. The Rockies are not going to sign Murakami, but you never know. you never know. But
listen, Paul DePodista's there now. They might. Moneyball, baby.
I know they could. And with Murakami being like a central cog to Japan winning the WBC back in 2023, I'm surprised, Colton, that over on FanDuel, Japan's not the favorite.
Yeah.
Japan is not the favorite. So for those, the WBC's coming up in like 2 months, 3 months?
Yeah. I think it starts. I think qualifiers are already kind of going on, but nonetheless, the actual like big tournament, I believe, starts in January, February, something
January,
like that,
and like bleeds into some of the spring training stuff.
Right, exactly. And there's going to be plenty of Mariners involved in the WBC. We know for a fact Cal Raleigh is going to be on Team USA, who is listed as the favorite here at plus 155 to win the whole event, with Team Japan at plus 320. Behind them, Team Dominican Republic at 410. And those are the only three teams that are under plus 1,000.
Yep.
Which honestly doesn't shock me. Like you think about,
there are some powerhouses.
You think about the powerhouses around the league, right? You like Julio might go play for the DR. Who else was on that team?
Austin Wells.
Was he on that team?
Austin Wells, I think, it plans on playing for the Dominican Republic team because his mom is Dominican.
Gracious.
I'll look it up just to make sure.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation where you have powerhouse teams that have a lot of players from the MLB that just so happen to also be from those countries. And you look at the roster for the Dominican Republic: Willie Adames, Heimer Candelario, Robinson Cano, LOL, Rafael Devers, Jeremy Pena, Ketel Marte, Manny Machado. The outfield: Teoscar Hernandez, Eloy Jimenez, Julio Rodriguez, and Juan Soto. Like, they literally were putting together
all-stars,
an all-star team. That's exactly what it was. It was an all-star team. And you look at the Japanese team, and yeah, there's a lot of guys whose names you may not recognize, because a lot of the people that play for Team Japan is going to have, they had Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Roki Sasaki, Shohei Ohtani. Like, there are names you're going to recognize, but there's plenty you probably don't. And then obviously Team USA, you're going to recognize a lot of those guys, probably led by Aaron Judge and Cal Raleigh. So yeah, I think that the US team this coming year is probably going to be the best it's ever been, just based on kind of how it's shaping up. Team USA, I think their pitching staff could be crazy, right? But you think about Paul Skeens could be a part of that. Like, if Garrett Cole's healthy, he could be a part of that, right? I mean, Garrett Crochet, and of course, one Tarik Skubal, who very well could be a part of that as well. And I just thinking about it now and talking about Tarik Skubal being a part of the WBC, let's say the Mariners are able to trade for Tarik Skubal, which is what we're about to talk about. But do you remember Drew Smiley?
Old soggy arm
in the WBC when the Mariners signed him, and then he didn't pitch the entire year. Yeah, that scares me. But yeah, nonetheless, the Mariners have been linked to Tarik Skubal, a trade for Tarik Skubal by Buster Olney. Now, Skubal, last year of his deal, we know that he is expecting a ton of money in free agency, and the Tigers are not willing to extend him to whatever contract he was looking for. And it sounds like he's going to be made available via trade. And Joe and I didn't have a whole lot of time to talk about this because, again, we weren't home when this like kind of cropped up. So we're going to talk about it now. Joe, where is your head at? Just the idea of getting Tarik Skubal, not even talk about package, just like, what do you think that means for the Mariners if they were to acquire Tarik Skubal?
They have a de facto ace and a chance for a guy to win back-to-back Cy Youngs, and maybe have 2 top 3 finishers next year with Skubal and maybe Brian Wu or Logan Gilbert if he comes back and pitches how we expected him to. Getting Tarik Skubal for whatever it would cost would immediately make your team better for 2026, undoubtedly. And you can say like, oh, it's not going to be worth it for whatever you have to give up, and like whatever you have to give up to get him, he's not going to re-sign. The Mariners are never going to extend him to the contract that he would want because frankly, he's going to get paid a bag. Like there's no two ways around that. He will be getting paid a boatload of money. So if you trade for him, you're probably only going to have him for 1 year. Like if we're back in realistic land, like I was with Murakami, but since he broke onto the scene in 2020, I mean, he kind of broke on the scene in 2023, but that was a half season for him. 15 games, 80 and a third, a 2.8 ERA in 2023. 2024, we know he won the Cy Young, MVP 7. This year, he was better than last year, ERA wise. I mean, ERA plus, he was better. A 187 ERA plus this year compared to a 174 back in 2024. He's probably going to win the Cy Young again. You don't just trade for the Cy Young and get worse. You could maybe sign a Cy Young in the offseason and he doesn't pitch as well. And then you get, but
he throws a ball down the middle to Yordan Alvarez.
And then things happen. But Robbie Ray made the Seattle Mariners better in 2022 than they were in 2021.
Yep, true.
Tarik Skubal would make the Mariners better in 2026 than they were in 2025. Even if what it likely would cost is one of the existing rotation pieces going back to Detroit in this trade. That's like the fact of the matter. It wouldn't be one of the top 3, I don't think, in Logan, Brian Wu, or so I say it wouldn't be one of those 2. And when I say top 3, I more so meant there's 2 guys that it could realistically be. And the guy that's not really the top 3, but he's not really involved is Luis Castillo because the money. Mm-hmm. Luis Castillo getting traded to Detroit does not make sense in this scenario. So like the 2 starting pitchers that currently exist. Really? Mm-hmm. Why would they want to pay him $21 million? Or however much money Castillo's going to make. Yeah.
Because they're okay with paying Skubal that much this year. They don't want to pay him the $40 million he's going to be getting after that.
Sure.
So for a team like the Tigers that is still in it next year, they're not going to be mad that they got Luis Castillo, and they're going to have him for an extra year other than, than you would with Tarik Skubal. Yeah. Does your pitching staff get worse? Of course it does. Anytime you lose someone like Tarik Skubal, your pitching staff is objectively worse. Mm-hmm. But let's say the Mariners kick in, $10 million, $5 million, right? To just lower that cost just a little bit. You still, as the Mariners, are saving yourself money next year.
Long term, yeah.
Long term. And so there's a situation where it makes sense to go with Luis Castillo and then maybe like Luis Castillo, Michael Arroyo, and like, I don't want to say Senja, but maybe Senja. Like, yeah. I don't know if Ryan Sloan makes sense, but someone that's knocking on the door like Senja, I think is fair.
I think if you include Castillo, you have to include Sloan or Senja.
Yeah.
I don't think Anderson makes a lot of sense to trade right now. Mm-hmm. But if you're trading instead of Kirby or Miller, you have to trade Senja or Sloan, in my opinion, because of the value of controllable pitching holds in today's market. Not giving the Tigers Miller or Kirby, because they have guys like Jackson Jobe and
injured, but yeah, had Tommy John.
Well, yeah, but like he's going to be part of their team for some time. Like the way that I'm viewing what the Tigers would want is they would want more controllable pitching to continue to like try and like recoup value longer than if we were to give them Castillo. And like, you know what I mean? Like, I just think that the packages change so much depending on what pitcher goes to Detroit. Like if you're trading Castillo, you have to trade Senja or Sloan. If you're trading Kirby, I think you can go someone further away. as like another pitcher that could be involved in there, or I mean, even like a lower guy, like a guy that's maybe just kind of rotation depth and like Logan Evans. But then you're like really flirting with how much pitching are you going to give up to gain Tarik Skubal, and like how much that lack of depth could harm you in 2026. But looking at the Tigers' top 10 as far as prospects are concerned on pipeline, they only have one pitcher, and it's the 10th prospect. So I wouldn't be opposed to trading them two pitchers no matter what in every facet of the trade. It just depends on which major league ready one they're going to get back. Really changes the dynamic of how the rest of the trade kind of fills out.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at the three people you mentioned, right? Castillo, Kilbert, whoa, Kirby, whoa, Castillo, Kirby, and Miller. Castillo had the best year of the three of them. Injuries be damned, he had the best year of the three of them, full stop.
Sure.
Like, yeah, you're getting a proven. If you are the Tigers, do you want one of the two guys coming off injury? But yeah, you're gonna have more control, but a lot more risk. Whereas with Castillo, you know what you're getting with Luis Castillo. Sure, he's on the decline, but I mean, can you look at George Kirby's year last year and say he isn't? No, you can't. He probably isn't,
Mm-hmm.
but he was bad last year, plain and simple. Like, on from a pure statistic standpoint, if we didn't know, and if we were just looking at these pitchers on paper and didn't know, hey, George had an injury, he'll probably be fine next year,
Sure.
whatever. Like, then yeah, you go with Luis Castillo 10 times out of 10. The way I look at it, you cannot add Tarik Skubal unless you trade Luis Castillo. Doesn't have to be in the same deal, but you can't afford it
Money wise, that's yeah.
money
Yes.
wise, because
Yes.
especially if you also plan on re-signing Josh Naylor.
Mm-hmm.
It physically cannot happen. One of either Castillo or Randy Rosarena has to be traded this
If
offseason.
if you add
If
Tarik
if you're
Skubal,
looking at Tarik Skubal, yeah, like I think that is 100% the situation you would find yourself in.
because of the assumed 33 to 35 million that we think the Mariners are operating with this offseason. Things can change. Maybe they're just saying that to there's a lot of like smoke, I feel like, as far as conversation happening with how much money the Mariners are going to spend. The executive sports burner account, Mike Elias's burner, posted the Mariners are going to be spending a lot more than Jerry DiPoto and company said, blah, blah, blah. Like, whatever, dude. I'll believe it when I see it. I don't think that they're not, I get what you're saying. Trading for Skubal and trading Castillo likely have to happen in the same offseason because of the money coming in. They don't have to be mutually exclusive to like you're trading Castillo to the Tigers. And I don't think you're saying that. You're just using this as like an easy way to, flip the money because you know with what we assume the operating costs are going to be that has to happen regardless. So
Well, and I find it much more difficult to fathom because again, we agree that if the Mariners acquire Skubal, they have to trade Castillo. Can you afford to trade Castillo and Kirby in the same offseason? I don't think so. Honestly, I mean, maybe you can go add like a 1-year veteran
yeah.
to be your fifth guy, but you're playing with fire there if you trade Castillo, Kirby, and like Logan Evans in the same offseason. Those are three guys where it's like your depth is shot now.
Mm-hmm.
And God forbid Tarik Skubal gets hurt,
Yeah.
right? Like, obviously, that is worst case scenario. Guy gets hurt because, in my opinion, the Mariners have no interest in signing him long term. There's no way. He's going to cost you, $40 million a year for like 10 years. I don't see a situation where the Mariners are going to be willing to pay that. They have been incredibly risk adverse in that scenario where they haven't been willing to pay guys, especially guys that are over the age of like 25, that kind of money. Julio is an exception, of course, because you can see the superstar talent. And don't get me wrong, if there was ever a pitcher to sign to that deal, it is probably Tarik Skubal, a Seattle guy,
Mm-hmm.
like a guy who obviously has very strong roots here, and he is the best damn pitcher in the world. Like, yeah, there are some guys I may make exceptions for, and none better than Tarik Skubal, but I just don't see with the money the Mariners are operating under. I don't see a situation where it is possible for them to extend him. So you really are looking at just 1 year of Tarik Skubal, and you have to be okay with that. And frankly, I'm okay with that. Like 1 year of Tarik Skubal is fine for me. It sucks that, you may have to lose, Las Montes or Michael Arroyo, what have you. But you need to go all in next year. This is the most interesting offseason in the history of the Mariners, in my opinion. Just because they came so close last year and they have a chance to make some of big moves. They have the capital in terms of prospects.
Mhm.
They also have 30-ish million dollars to play with, which is probably more than they've had in a very long time to play with in an offseason. That's what makes this so interesting. That's what makes this offseason so unique. Is last year, Donovan Solano and re-signing Jorge Polanco, whatever. We're not talking about that this year. We're talking about Tarik Skubal, Josh Naylor. Hell, we could be talking about Pete Alonso. Like, there are plenty of guys we could talk about.
Yeah.
And that's what I think makes this offseason so interesting.
Despite the rumors of what a looming lockout would look like in 2027 as well. I don't want to necessarily say that you have to go for it in 2026 to win because you might lose some time for guys in 2027. I think that's not an unreasonable thought for people to have, but I wouldn't trade for Tarik Skubal just on that idea alone that you only can win in 2026, blah, blah. Like, if you're trading for Tarik Skubal, one, you believe in the farm system and the depth that you have built up over the last several years and your ability to draft, develop, and trade outside of, small little pockets of time where you're trading for this one big boom, situation in Tarik Skubal to really elevate you for a 9-month period. You trust that beyond that because they're having a baby. Beyond that, beyond that, you're not going to have him again. He's gone off to the adoption clinic. And
Wow.
so you have to be able to then replace him, but you gave up a lot of capital to get him. So the fact that if Buster Olney is talking about this as there's an option here, there's a potential here, that instills, I think, a fair bit amount of confidence in me from what how the Mariners view themselves over the next 5 years, let alone just like, this competitive window of, we'll call it 2020, if you want to call it 2021, fun differential, a little bit of a fluke 91 season, regardless, doesn't matter. Like, the period of time we exist in is second best in Mariners history as far as winning is concerned. Yes, they haven't won anything, if you want to be nitpicky about what winning means, but winning regular season games has not been as fruitful as it has been these last couple of years, like in Mariners history prior. The fact that they want to go out there potentially, this is all rumors, and elevate themselves so much so by acquiring a Cy Young, back-to-back Cy Young in 2026 with the existing core and everything that they have with their window currently open, knowing that they're probably not going to re-sign him, that there's reinforcements coming in after, like, this to me signals that like they're very confident about what they look like going into the 2030s as far as where the organization is set up as far as player pool is concerned, which is exciting and it's cool and it's fun that we're able to talk about stuff like this, whether or not it actually happens. Like, what is the percentage you think the Mariners trade for Tarik Skubal? What's the percentage? Like,
I'd put it at like 20%.
20%. Okay, I was gonna say lower than that. Like, I think this is like a 5% chance for me. And
yeah,
but again, you're telling me that there's a chance, Buster.
There's never been a better time, ever. And again, you mentioned this is Buster Olney saying it. This isn't John Morosi. This is Buster Olney.
This isn't Boob Nightingale.
Yeah, Boob Nightingale, John Morosi. Like, yeah, it's none of those guys. This is Buster Olney. He's relatively credible. Like, and I think that if this is something that he's saying, and the Mariners have found themselves in a situation where they've talked about going pretty hard for next year and they have the capital to make certain moves, the Mariners are also really good at refilling and reloading after making some of those moves. I mean, you think about when the Mariners acquired Luis Castillo and they had to give up like Connor Phillips and all those, or maybe that was a Geno trade, doesn't matter. When they traded with the Reds and traded some of their top prospects, Noelvi Marte, blah, blah. Do we care anymore? No, I don't care. Like, none of them have really been anything. Noelvi
Mhm.
Marte, yeah, like, he has the most potential of all of them. Eh, right? And, like, sure,
Oh,
there's a situation there's a situation where we trade for Tarik Skubal and he's all of a sudden Eric Bedard, but
let's not go that
stop.
far.
um, but yeah, I don't know, man. I just like I think that this is a more credible rumor simply because the Mariners have been very, I guess, upfront about their plans going forward, including, of course, re-signing Naylor. They said that was a top priority. They're gonna that you can't look at this team and look at the pitching staff and say, yeah, they we can't use Tarik Skubal. The pitching staff was the worst part of your team this year. It was awful. Like, you know what could fix awful? The best pitcher on the planet.
Pretty
So it's
simple.
just yeah, we don't need to get cute with it and go sign like Johnny Cueto or something like that and think he's gonna be resurgent. You know what I mean? Like just go get the best pitcher on the planet and call it a day. It's I don't know. It's a weird situation. I don't think we're used to being in this situation, which makes it all that much more fun. But if you lose Tarik Skubal at the end of the year and you replace him with Cade Anderson, that's probably like, I mean, obviously not an upgrade, but like that's fine,
You
more
don't
than
find yourself
likely.
in a bad spot if you do that.
Right. Because you still have plenty of guys under control for quite some time. And if the Mariners are able to extend Gilbert this offseason as well, right? You could be looking at a 2027 roster, assuming they play baseball in 2027, of, Logan, Woo, Kirby, Miller, Kate Anderson. Like if Castillo gets traded, like there's just so many options for the Mariners where if you have to trade away one of your controllable guys, it's not the end of the world right now. And I
Mhm.
think that's a really, really good place for them to be in. And same with the offensive side of things. We're not going to see every single one of these guys come up. We won't. That's just not the way baseball works. You may, we'll probably see Colt Emerson. We might see Las Montes, but there's a chance we don't see some of these guys and either they fizzle out or they get traded. That's just the nature of prospects. And to get a sure thing like Tarik Skubal, I think means a lot to a team like the Mariners. Let us know in the comments down below if you guys think that we're going to be able to acquire Tarik Skubal. We appreciate you guys watching episode 247 of the Hit It Here podcast presented by FanDuel, and go Mariners.